Welcome everyone. Thanks for sticking around for this last presentation of this tech meetup. I will talk about ethical AI testing. It's a, let's say, topic not necessarily from previous presentations on something that I work on specifically, but let's say it involves well, I like philosophy, ethics, and well, I work in QA, in testing, and well, AI is as well something that is now, let's say, in use in our day-to-day lives. But before, I wanted to as well have a brief introduction about myself for those who don't know who I am. Some of you know, but for those of you, my name is Edgar Rodriguez. I'm originally from the Dominican Republic. I live in Prague more than 6 years now, almost 7. I have 12 years of experience in QA in general, and yeah, in FLS I'm close to 2 years. It will be in May, my anniversary, and I work specifically on the First Key Homes project. Well, and as well, my email and my LinkedIn is there on the presentation in case someone has any questions, feedback, or wants to as well further connect. So the agenda for today's presentation, on my presentation on ethical AI testing, well, we will follow these five topics, 5 parts. On the first part will be ethics and AI software, where we will dwell, I would say, on why there is a need to address the AI challenges and the challenges that AI poses in today's society. On the second part, there will be testing for ethical considerations. So we will go into seeing a few, or well, one main dilemma or potential dilemmas that there exist or can exist within AI. On the third part, it will be ethical test scenarios for AI. So which points need to be there to have ethical considerations in the test scenarios for AI. On the fourth part, it will be the monitoring and feedback, which is a, let's say, important part of the process. And on the fifth and last part, it will be, well, real actions examples on what some companies have done related to ethical AI and the development and the testing. So ethical implications of AI. Why there is, I would say, a need on AI, on addressing AI challenges nowadays, I would define it on these 5 points, I would say. The first one is AI's impact. So basically, nowadays we use AI, and AI impacts our lives in many different ways, ranging from finance, education, transport, you name it. It's present, and it will be coming more and more part of our lives. So there is, let's say, a big impact within this, and as well, because there is this impact, there needs to be, let's say, can be real-world consequences from this. So it needs to be handled with care because of the potential, as the second point names it, the potential consequences. So there can be, as we will see later on, some biases that could potentially make, let's say, people's lives, affect people in different ways. Then on the third part, there is the responsibility. So let's say as developers, as QAs, as companies that are in this world of developing AI, on working with AI, there has to be a sense of responsibility as well to handle AI and its development in a fair and a transparent way. On the fourth part, there is the privacy concerns. So it needs to make sure basically that the data that's been handled from the users and the real data it's handled correctly and in an ethical way. And on the fifth point is the ethical decision making. So how does the AI comes to its choices, to its decisions? Having, let's say, a transparent and a clear approach and show it to the users how this is done. I found some data on a recent survey that was made by a company called the Enterprise Project. So they surveyed several companies that were that are in the business of AI, on building algorithms, models. And it was interesting, I would say, what I found related to AI and ethics around AI. So, for example, 9 out of 10 of the surveyed organizations are aware of that there are AI ethics issues. 65% of those executives that were surveyed are aware that there are discriminatory biases in AI, in the decisions that it makes. And then moving on to the customer side, for example, 66% of the customers are expecting a fair, transparent, clear, and bias-free AI. And for example, as well, 71% of the users as well expect the AI to be clear, to provide clear and concise information. So basically, I would say what this data is telling us is, well, one, that organizations are aware of the issues and that the issues within AI ethical issues exist, and that there is as well important work to be done in this sense. And then as well the second part, that the users value the transparency, the clearness, and the fairness that AI can provide. So it's something important to keep in mind as well. Potential biases of AI's dilemmas. We will see an example based on autonomous vehicles. And well, we have here this picture where in this example, there's an autonomous vehicle, selfless driving car is going with a passenger inside. And on one side of the road, there is a kid chasing for a ball, and in the other one, there's a senior person crossing the street. So, as I asked there, what would you do? As well, this dilemma comes originally from a philosophical dilemma. Again, to repeat, it's called the trolley problem. And yeah, I don't know if to make it in the spirit to make this presentation a bit dynamic. I don't know if how many of you, I don't know, could raise your hand to, I don't know, that you would choose, for example, the kid, that it saves the kid, or in this case, some other of you would choose, I don't know, that the car stops, or you would choose that the car goes to a side or goes to a house, or it slides, I don't know, it builds a hole in the ground and goes inside the street. There are let's say, endless possibilities in this sense. But I think the importance here is more, instead of finding if there's a right or wrong answer, because in my opinion there is not a right or wrong answer, is more to use this framework and this, let's say, ethical dilemma to try to find some biases. If the AI model is, in this case, leaning towards certain part or certain side, in this case, and as well, then if it is, then correct it in time and train it in a correct way. So as you saw from the survey that I presented, users value the fairness and the transparency. So how do companies do that? How can this be done? There are 5 I would say, 5 parts that companies can enact on to provide, let's say, fairness and transparency in their models. So having transparency as a safeguard, as I mentioned, that well, basically transparency, the more clear it is how the AI makes its decisions, the more users appreciate this, the more accountable it is as well, and it's easier as well to provide, let's say, audit or things in this sense. It will be, let's say, more trustable. Having as well an interpretable AI, so basically having models that provide explanations on how they come to these decisions, as well is a way on how companies can ensure fairness and transparency. Having mitigation or a mitigation process on the biases, so having strategies such as reweighting of the data, resampling of the data are important, let's say, points and strategies that companies can as well make. Having a continuous monitoring process, so as it is as well evolving day to day on a year-to-year basis. Technology is important as well to have, let's say, continuous monitoring, to have that eye in place, and we will talk as well further on the monitoring and feedback part on this specific point. And then having ethical testing in place. So as QA, I would say it's important that we play, I would say, a vital role in ensuring that the AI would remain fair, would remain transparent. And as QA as well, I would say we would need to challenge the AI to try to uncover any biases that might exist. So this is as well a role that has to be as well valued in this sense. Why to test ethically for AI? I would say, well, as I mentioned, that is user-based or user-focused. So there is protection on the user side. So having, let's say, the well-being of the users in mind, the rights of the users as well. And let's say some of these are as well interconnected between each other, because the more we protect the users, well, the more we would maintain the trust in this case, and it will be more trustable to use too. It helps, as I mentioned as well, related to the biases, so to uncover the biases, to find any discriminations that might happen because of the model, of the algorithms in this sense. And then, well, in case there would be any consequences from it, then to have this corrected as well. The normal, let's say, QA process, in not only for AI, but in general, that's as well the whole point, to correct things as early as possible. And then on the last part, related to legal and regulatory compliances, then as well, as since it's a fast-paced, evolving technology, AI, then as well to keep up with the, let's say, AI-related legal compliances, because then as well it can, let's say, result in either legal or financial consequences as well. So while testing it, this as well can be covered. So creating ethical scenarios, I define it as a three-step general process. So on the first part is to identify the potential biases. So as I mentioned, if it's let's say be related to any potential biases that can be done related to, for example, gender, age, or economical background, and other factors. I think it's the first part of it. Then to define ethical boundaries. So to have basically that is not leaning, to put an example, to have it not leaning toward one group or another. So having a guideline on where the model can get to, and and where it cannot, as well is important. And then crafting the test cases. In this sense, as I mentioned, for example, that as QA, we can here, in terms of crafting the test cases, involve and try to challenge the model, the algorithms, in this sense to, let's say, involving sensitive topics, controversial topics, and in this way trying to find potential biases from it. Some ethical considerations as well that can be done within the test plans as QA. So having within those test plans some metrics, some ethical metrics in place. So let's say having some criteria within your test plan, ethical criteria that is would give the test plan, in this sense, at least for on the ethical side of things, more structure. Having a diverse test data, so basically having the more and the bigger sample and the bigger the user base, then the easier it is to find, let's say, some potential biases or any discrimination for particular groups. And then having, as I mentioned, and I think we've seen it before, the continuous monitoring. So it's not the, let's say, one-time thing, one-time process. It's more an ongoing effort in this sense. So moving on to the monitoring and feedback part, there are 4 points that I wanted to highlight. So having a post-release monitoring, so basically after some AI system is deployed, to have, let's say, an assessment of the behavior, that it's, let's say, correct, and any real-world consequences that this model might have. Having alerting mechanisms, so basically having any triggers or notifications that the model, the algorithms are not behaving the way they should, that are targeting certain group, or that they are having some bias towards another. Having user feedback loops, so basically having constant communication and communication paths and ways with the different user groups that are in place, so that these as well, the feedback from the user is important and as well can be taken into account when correcting any issues that might arise from the model. And well, continuous improvement, as well, as I mentioned, is an iterative process, so constantly trying to improve, to find ways on how the model and the algorithms can improve, can be better, is as well an important part. Then for the last part, now on the conclusion of the presentation, I wanted to show some examples on ethical AI development and on companies that have done, or organizations in this case, that have done some work related to this. So on the first part we have UNESCO, which is the United Nations Education, Science and Culture Organization. So they have built some recommendations related to AI ethics, how to properly do AI development for different companies, and they as well had some top 10, 11 key policy areas and key questions that companies should ask themselves in terms of the risks that, let's say, AI poses. Another example is Adobe, the company, well, we know it from Photoshop or the Acrobat Reader. In this sense, they have actually a standard process. They build their own process. They have a AI ethics review board. And actually, I have an example here of the document that they have available for everyone as well on, well, their AI ethics principles, how their AI comes to the decisions, the things that they believe themselves as company, that they are responsible when building an AI, which is, for example, responsibility, accountability, transparency, and what this means for them. And yeah, thank you so much for your attention. If you have any questions.
Awesome. sorry. just get out, sorry. I quite enjoyed it, so appreciate it.
I thought it's a question.
No, it's just like observation and first emotion that comes in my head. Very interesting. Thanks a lot, guy. Really appreciate it. I got more insights. So. Awesome. Great.
No questions.
I have a question. Were you thinking about implementing something that you presented now in the projects we have, or some like suggestion for our clients?
I think so. I mean, I think this is an area that it's not quite, it's like quite untouched, for example, as you could see from the survey data, and as well upon the research and me reading some things as well. There is, I think, a lack. Even though that the companies know that there are problems, there is not that much action still on it. So I think that as we further advance in AI, that I think that then there will be more and more need for it, or as it grows more, then there will be more need definitely for it.
Does it say anything about in the survey itself about the interpretable AI? So the companies are looking more towards seeing if you get a result out of whatever ChatGPT. So like, is it important for the company to know how they came to the answer?
Yeah, exactly, and that it doesn't target, or it's not biased basically. So it doesn't choose, So and as well on the transparency side. So how does it come to that, and as well how is it trained, the model, and what data is it being fed, right? Because all of this is connected to be able to reach that. Anything else? No? I guess that's all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.